Hello and welcome to MarketSquare, your go-to show for deep insights into business and economic trends. I'm Oladipupo, and today we are diving into the recently signed Tax Reform Act 2025, a major reform that is set to reshape how taxes are being paid and collected in Nigeria. Stay with us. Welcome back to MarketSquare. On June 26, 2025, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed a set of tax reform bills into law that will change how taxes are collected and paid in Nigeria. These reforms aims to simplify the tax system, improve fairness, and enhance efficiency of tax administration across the country. For many Nigerians, this is a welcome development, offering relief in a system that has long been viewed as confusing, inconsistent, and difficult to navigate. In the past, taxpayers struggled to keep up with the overlapping rules and levies, but now redundant taxes have been removed and the issue of paying multiple taxes on the same income of goods has been resolved, making compliance clearer and more predictable for individuals and businesses alike. Joining us to explain what all this means is Musa Oladipupo, a finance manager at Zenera Consulting. He has a decade of experience in accounting, financial management, and regulatory compliance, and also brings deep insight into Nigeria's evolving fiscal landscape, especially in corporate finance and taxation. Welcome to MarketSquare, Musa.
Hi, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. To begin with, Musa, could you provide a brief overview of how the Nigerian Tax Act 2025 impacts the daily lives of everyday Nigerians?
Thank you. I think before I start, we should try to see where we're coming from.
Okay.
Right? So now we have a tax system where tax payers seem to understand the way the tax system works. Right. However, there've been a lot of overlapping taxes. However, with the introduction of tax by the president, right?
Yes, sir.
So India Tax Act, which emerges various rules into one single, easy to understand code, and it eliminates more than 50 more overlapping taxes, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
that's one of the things that is trying to resolve. People now understand what they need to pay, and it totally take out 50% overlapping taxes.
Okay. So the main issue now is that all this is all about simplifying the tax system, right?
Correct.
Yes. So now let's talk about how this affects workers. The consolidated relief allowance has been replaced with a fixed 200,000 naira rent relief, affecting millions of working Nigerians starting January 2026. Could you explain what the shift means for the average worker and how impactful is this change in real terms, especially in today's high inflation environment? Because we might see the impact, but will all these workers see the impact in their daily lives despite the inflation environment?
Yes, so it is a welcome development by the president, and once again, kudos to the president, right? So we have seen this because we now have the rent relief allowance so however, I think I would like to, although we've not seen the debated act, right? But however, from information I have at my disposal, I was told it's actually 500,000 or 200,000.
Okay.
So which is much more impact, for the low income earners. Like what this means is that with having to bring this by the president, what this what it will give the low income earners is that you now have a relief, right? And the reason why they go for rent because most of low income earners, right, are affected by rent.
Okay.
That's why it's important. I think that's why the president or the committee chooses rent allowances.
Okay, but is this really fair to everyone? Because especially those living in rural areas or those who don't pay formal rent, is it really fair to them?
Yes. If you listen to the chairman of the tax fiscal committee,
Right.
so he said there's more on low income earners, right? And if you look at it, most low income earners find it difficult to pay their rent. So I think that's why focus more on
The low
rent
income.
allowances
Okay.
for low income earners.
All right. So now let's consider the income segmentation. Can you hear me, Musa?
Yeah.
So now let's consider the income segmentation. Under the new system, workers earning 800,000 naira or less annually are exempt from income tax, while high income earners above 50 million naira face a 25% tax rate. How significant is the shift for low income earners? And would you say it makes the tax system more fair for everybody based on how much they earn?
Yes, yes. Nigeria, like I said earlier on, right? So
Yes.
the way the tax system was, it seems not to be nice at all. So I'm saying this because we are taxing the low income earner, we are taxing the poorer, and it shouldn't be so, right? So what this brings on board now is that um, those earning, if you notice, this 100,000 is more or less around the minimum wages in Nigeria. So those
Yes.
earning, let's say, right, are totally exempt from tax. And it's because let them also have they don't have to pay tax, they don't have, what they're earning is not enough. You're not taxing them again. So that's why I see that this new tax regime is exempting the low income
Income
earner
earners.
from tax, right? And also the middle class, right? So they'll see a little reduction in the tax system. You
Okay.
get why the what I call them, the richer now will be paying more a bit that what they're paying. So the way this works is that this is just because the tax bracket has been changed. Before now, we used to have 300,000 under the tax table. We
Yes.
have first 300,000 at 7%, right? Next 200,000 at 11%, right? So what that means is that they are charging, once you're earning 200,000 per annum, you'll be charged at 7%, but that's totally out now. What we're now having now is that the first 100,000 is even at 0%. The first 100,000 is at 0%. So it's going to impact a lot of Nigerians because we no longer pay tax.
Yeah.
What that means is that you now have more money with you to be able to do other things. And also, there's something we call multiplier effect. You now have more money to take to the market, right? To buy
More
other
stuff.
things, right?
Yeah.
So the person you're buying it from also will be able to go back to let's say to the farm to get. So that's what the meaning of multiplier effect is.
Okay. So turning to the business communities, starting 2026, small businesses are now fully exempt from income tax. And this means more money for this small business to reinvest or grow their businesses. While medium and large companies will also see their tax rate reduced from 30% to 25%. And this is also a good news for them because they'll be able to, lower tax rate means more funds to expand their operations, invest or hire. But looking beyond the numbers, Musa, what impacts do you foresee these changes having on business growth and tax compliances?
Fantastic. Thank you for that question. Right.
Okay.
So let's start with low income. All right. So before now, what we're doing is that we are taxing capital, taxing investment. We shouldn't be so, right? You see, most of these advanced countries, they allow the startup businesses to grow first, right?
Yes.
So what this new tax act is doing is that, so let's allow the small businesses to grow, right? You don't have to tax them now. So we should exempt them from taxes. They don't have to pay tax. They don't have to pay VAT, right? And
Yes.
then they don't have to pay CI, right? So what this will do for them is that VAT is 7.5% now
Yes, 7.5%.
currently. So what that means is enough. Some 5% of your total revenue, right? That's an exemption from you. I don't have to file CAT, that's company income tax.
Okay.
So what that means is that the low income earners will have more money, right, to be able to invest, right, and to be able to expand and to be able to provide them a lot to be able to invest in both their capital and be able to have more money with them to be able to invest in their businesses. And for the big companies, right? So if you notice, usually they are paying 30% CIT, but not 25%.
Yeah.
What the tax reformer is trying to do is that the owner of these big companies are directors, that are now paying that are now paying 25% under
Sense.
the tax bracket, right?
Yes.
So I think what tax reform are trying to do here is just to balance the equation, right? Since they are paying slightly more money for their personal income taxes, right? Should give them other incentive, and this is one of it, right? So instead of paying 25%, instead of paying 30%,
50%, you pay
it's not
25%.
going to reduce to 25.
Do you think these small businesses will make use of this avenue to like expand their operations?
Yes, yes. That's why I just explained. You get
Okay.
so you have more money, right? And we should be careful. That's for the small businesses. They shouldn't say because
Yes.
I don't have to pay VAT again, again, so I'm free.
Yep.
No. And I think that mindset should be changed. I mean, so what it means for us is that the major objective of the government is just for the small business to have more money in their hand. Do you understand?
Okay.
So it's important they use the money to expand
And
their businesses, right? They use the money to grow, and they use the money to do other means as required by the businesses. That's the major reason why the government is giving them this incentive, right? It's not for giving sake, but it's for them to reinvest into their businesses.
okay. So you're saying that a small business should make use of this avenue to grow their businesses, reinvest instead of like misusing this opportunity, because we know most business out there, instead of them to like make use of this opportunity, they are going to just like, so because I'm not paying taxes, let me just misuse this opportunity. Okay, that's a nice one. So while the VAT still remains on 7.5%, the reforms also offer broader exemptions on essential things like food, healthcare, and education. Do you think this strikes the right balance between government revenue and public welfare? Because we know that, okay, this might affect the government revenue a little bit. Do you think this strikes the right balance?
So, thank you for that question again. When I started, I said this reform is for low income earners,
Yeah,
right?
majorly the low
And
income earners.
if you notice, these areas where low income earners usually have issues, right?
It's
Like
VAT.
healthcare, electricity, and food, right? So
Yes.
the guys in the room, I mean, those that have enough, they can
Money.
sustain themselves with go to the market to get all these, right? So, like I said, it's for low income earners, right? So, I think it's a good way to start. Right? This is not like the Consumer Income Act when we're looking at how will it impact everyone. This one, once it commences first 2026, is going to immediately, you see the impact immediately. Do you understand? You see the impact immediately. And don't forget that the government and also increase some of the taxes. You get so
Yes.
if this 4.5%, it doesn't matter because they are getting revenue from other
Other
sources.
sources. Okay. So yeah, moving to the okay, a new 2 to 4% development levy has also been introduced to support national institutions. But some people are actually saying that this is an additional burden on citizens, since the main contention of this thing is to like simplify the tax system. So what you view on the levy's potential economic impact?
Yes. So thank you again for this question. Right. So this is one of the parts that the government actually increased the development levy, right?
Yes, yes.
But however, I either mentioned that the Nigeria Tax Act, what it comes to do is just to simplify
Tax.
processes and
Yes.
also um, bring together, harmonize all the overlapping taxes, right? So
Yes.
one of the overlapping taxes we have is levies in every part, right? So if you see those that buy food before this act, those that buy food, right? So
Yes.
they pay all sorts of taxes. You go to the market, you see these are paying all sorts of taxes, right?
Yeah.
So what this does is so we are bringing all the taxes together, right? So before now, we used to have aside the education tax, special education of 2%, we used to have the net fund act of technology act of 1%. So we have different segments of taxes now. We now have just 4% development levy, which incorporates all together to just have one single development levy. Before now we have about 4 or 5 development levies, but now I have just one, which is now 4%.
Another concern is tax literacy. A lot of Nigerians don't fully understand how the tax system works. And with all these changes, that could become a barrier. Would you say the government has done enough to educate the public on these reforms?
Okay, right. And like you said, I think people are misunderstanding this, right?
Okay.
They just they said we start January 2026, right?
Yes,
So
2026.
this 6 months that we have now is just it gives us enable organizers, right, to create more awareness, right? And if you notice, I think this is one of the forms that has created a lot of chaos,
Yes.
politically, religiously, and sorts of curiosity at the time where they're having this discussion.
Okay.
So I would say that also created an impact because more people pay attention to it at the time, right? Everybody wants to know what this reform is all about. You should know about 3 or 4 months ago. I think that itself has created an awareness for the reforms, right? But however, I'm sure Mr. Taiwo Idele and the committees have plans to ensure that everybody understands the way the tax works. Also, right, one of the good things is that part of the tax act is the segment, it's just one part of the 4 reforms, right? So out of it, we have where you have more, you can call in, right, to further get clarity on how the tax works now,
Okay.
right? You don't have to see any tax, right?
Okay.
It's just because and the good thing is that you can call in different forms of your language. You can call in Yoruba, you can speak Yoruba or Hausa, right? So I think that's enough. You're going to create more awareness for those that don't understand the way the tax works.
Okay, so that's a better system now
Part of the
because
hello, I'm with you. Yes.
so that's a better system because if people can call in for them to understand how the tax system works, it's a better situation. If there is one key message every Nigerian should take away from these tax reforms, what would it be?
Okay. So it's more or less the government is trying to give back to the country, right?
Yes.
And let's prepare our mind ahead to be able to be tax compliant now, right? And pay what is needed to be remitted.
Okay, so thank you so much, Musa, for being part of this conversation. Your insight has been so good. Thank you so much, Musa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Okay, as Musa pointed out, this new tax system will enable individuals to have more money to be able to do more businesses, and also for businesses, it will help them grow their business and also be able to invest in more things. These reforms may not solve every challenges overnight, but they represent a major step forward in modernizing Nigeria's fiscal system. From tax relief for the working class to digital compliance for businesses, it is clear that change is not just coming, it is already here. But one thing is that we shouldn't evade the tax because there's already a system in which we cannot evade the tax. I'm Oladipupo. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.